I want to thank the witnesses again for being here today and our members for their interest in the issues we'll be discussing. Today, the Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries Subcommittee will consider 4 legislative proposals that provide the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service greater resources and regulatory flexibility to carry out its mission to conserve at-risk species while at the same time providing some degree of regulatory certainty to affected parties. These bills build on sound science, stakeholder collaboration, and a shared desire for economic prosperity and species conservation working together. Over the 118th Congress, Republicans on this committee have worked to address the regulatory overreach of the Biden administration, including the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service administration of the Endangered Species Act. Today, we offer a different approach by examining how the Act itself could be improved to give the service more flexibility when promulgating ESA listings. H.R. 6784, offered by Congressman Stauber, would accomplish this by allowing the service to propose 4D rules for endangered species, an authority they already have for threatened species. The 4D process under the ESA has untapped potential to provide regulatory flexibility for affected stakeholders, but also to address the specific threats impacting the listed species. Take the northern long-eared bat. This species is listed as endangered due to an incurable fungal disease known as white nose syndrome, which is not caused by human activity. As we'll hear today during witness testimony, when the bat was listed as threatened, it was governed by a 4D rule that was workable for affected stakeholders, particularly industries dependent upon forestry, but also protected vital habitat for the bat. However, when the species was uplisted to endangered last year, the 4D rule was voided, and stakeholders were forced to go through an arduous and expensive process to create habitat conservation plans for the bat in order to conduct exactly the same activities. Mr. Stauber's bill would have prevented this unnecessary process by allowing the service to continue to use a 4D rule to regulate activities in the bat's range. H.R. 6854, a bipartisan bill offered by Congresswoman Fischbach, would create 2 new grant programs designed to enhance the breeding habitat for waterfowl. These programs would recognize the important role private landowners play in the future health of waterfowl populations, especially in creating and maintaining suitable habitat. I would like to compliment the work already done to improve waterfowl habitat and population by groups such as Delta Waterfowl, who is represented in today's panel. H.R. 7157, a bipartisan bill offered by Congressman Duarte, would amend the Lacey Act to foster greater accountability, transparency, and certainty for businesses who are subject to that act. Regulations creating and applying timelines on agencies' actions. These include when agencies must notify importers that the import their merchandise has been detained, when merchandise can be transferred to a facility not under the control of the federal government for additional testing, and when enforcing agencies must decide to either seize or release detained merchandise. These timelines are not designed to inhibit enforcing agencies from doing their work, but instead are designed to ensure that merchandise cannot be detained indefinitely without a legitimate reason. Doing so will help to foster a cooperative relationship between the enforcing agency and the importer. Lastly, H.R. 3119, offered by Congressman Soto, highlights a species of great interest to many on this committee, the manatee. This bill authorizes the Postal Service to offer a manatee semi-postal stamp with all proceeds of sale going toward conservation of the manatee and its habitat. This bill builds on the success of other stamps designed to benefit at-risk species, as well as decades of conservation undertaken by the federal government, states, and private entities to conserve and enhance the health of manatee populations. I'm looking forward to hearing from the members that have sponsored each of these bills and hearing from our witnesses joining us today their perspective on real-world impacts and benefits of these pieces of legislation is valued as we advance policies that provide the necessary regulatory certainty to vital industries that ensure that our laws are responsive to the needs of today. With that, I recognize Ranking Member Huffman for 5 minutes.